From the moment Obito revealed that Itachi took the life of his lover during his conversation with Sasuke in Naruto Volume 43, it became the topic of debate in the Naruto fandom. Just who was Itachi's lover? When did they meet? How could Itachi bring himself to take her life? Numerous, and I mean numerous, fanfics are written around this scenario. In 2016, Naruto Shippuden finally adapted the two Itachi novels where Itachi's relationship with Izumi Uchiha was revealed. However, the anime adaptations for the Itachi Daylight novel and the Itachi Midnight novel came with several changes to their relationship, and most importantly, the ending of their love story, which is absolutely heartbreaking and is hands down the most tragic ending to any relationship in Naruto. Those who have read the novels know exactly how Itachi killed Izumi in one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the franchise, whereas the anime butchered this moment by having Obito kill her off in a filler scene. In today's video, we're not only going to look over the details of Itachi and Izumi's love story, but we're also going to take a look at specific key moments, including the moment where Itachi's heart was ripped out in two when he was forced to end Izumi's life. So in order to understand how drastically different the love story is in the two Itachi novels and what you saw in the anime, we have to go all the way back to the Itachi Daylight novel. Now, when you look at all this, you'll notice that the anime portrayed Izumi as being a schoolgirl who developed a crush on Itachi because a bunch of girls in her class were also crushing on Itachi. However, in reality, Izumi's interest in Itachi was formed way before this. In the novel, it was revealed that Izumi was only half Uchiha. Her mother married a man who wasn't from the Uchiha clan, and for that reason, she was not formally recognized by Fugaku and the other Uchiha as being a member of the clan. While the Uchiha didn't fully recognize her and they treated her as a bit of an outcast, Itachi started out as indifferent to her, to allowing Izumi to get close to him, to Itachi seeking her out to spend time with her. In the academy, her feelings for Itachi began to manifest shortly after the Kyuubi attack. In the anime, you saw that Itachi was guiding Izumi through the Kyuubi attack to safety, whereas the truth is that in the novel, Izumi's father, who to restate wasn't a man from the Uchiha clan, gave his life to save Izumi and her mother and others during the Kyuubi attack. Seeing her father's dead body caused her to awaken her Sharingan. While Itachi's classmates bullied him and accused the Uchiha as being behind the Kyuubi attack, and they were about to jump on Itachi, Izumi stepped in with her Sharingan activated in order to defend Itachi, despite the fact that the Sharingan left her so exhausted that she needed to be in the school hospital for the rest of the day. Itachi sat at her bedside until she regained consciousness, and the two shared a moment when she told Itachi what happened with her father, how she awakened her Sharingan, and Izumi began to hint at her loneliness with how the Uchiha clan treated her. Even after Itachi graduated from the academy early, Itachi still spent time with Izumi on his off days, often going to the tea shop with her. Izumi's crush on Itachi played a huge role in her training to become a capable genin after she graduated. The amount of time that Itachi spent with Izumi didn't go unnoticed either. Shisui Uchiha openly teased Itachi for having feelings for Izumi, and in the weeks before the Uchiha massacre, Fugaku openly raised an eyebrow and smiled at the strong love that Izumi possessed for Itachi. In the Itachi Midnight novel, during a really heated scene, Izumi once again stood up for Itachi when members of the Uchiha clan began to see him as a potential threat to their plans to attack Konoha, despite the fact that Izumi shared the same love for the village that Itachi and Shisui had. In fact, despite the fact that Itachi hadn't told her about the Uchiha clan planning to attack, Izumi expressed worry that something bad was about to happen between the Uchiha clan and Konoha, and Itachi could say nothing because of the tall task that was awaiting him in the future. After placing his forehead on the cliff where Shisui committed suicide, for 6 long hours, Itachi wrestled with his thoughts about what was about to happen, going back and forth about if he could go through with the Uchiha massacre and his pact with Obito to kill everyone except for Sasuke, and the fact that Danzo was watching and waiting as everything was happening. Despite knowing that Obito was watching him, making sure that Itachi could go through with their pact, Itachi allowed Izumi to enter into his consciousness, and the physical toll took a burden on Itachi as he continued to be crippled until he finally called out to Obito and said that he would agree with their pact, which is something you guys didn't see in the anime version. On the night of the Uchiha massacre, Itachi went to Izumi's home first close, making it a point to take her life before anyone else because Itachi knew that if Izumi was still alive, he wouldn't be able to go through with Danzo's order for a massacre. Izumi, the only person he loved as much as Sasuke, was the person he wasn't allowed to keep alive and was the person Itachi needed to kill first. Itachi stated that by killing Izumi, it would be enough to harden his heart to actually go through with the massacre. So what I'll do for you guys now is read the entire scene to you all and then come back to you guys with a breakdown. And I'll warn you guys, grab your tissues before you get to this scene, and it's here I'm gonna begin quoting. Itachi held his breath and listened to the bright voices across the hall, the room illuminated by the flickering glow of the dining room. Their voices were those of two women. One of them he knew very well. He memorized her voice. The other was her mother. He kicked the garbage can at his feet and purposely made noise to be noticed. What was that? Her mother asked. I don't know. I'll go look, alright? Tension crept into her voice as she announced this to her mother. Itachi felt her presence slowly approaching him. So she wouldn't sense him, Itachi hid in the next room and waited for her to pass. He slipped into the dining room, and before her mother was able to shout, Itachi knocked her out with his Sharingan. Once she was unconscious, Itachi waited silently for Izumi to return to the dining room. Don't worry, Mom, it was just the garbage, Izumi began before she stopped herself. Itachi, she began, dumbfounded as she looked between Itachi and her mother. Itachi wavered. He couldn't stand listening to Izumi's voice any further. He quickly concentrated his chakra into his eye. The Mangekyo Sharingan appeared. Tsukiyomi, Itachi spoke. Izumi froze in place. Itachi focused his mind and his heart on the Genjutsu. Tsukiyomi allowed him to completely control time, space, and matter. It was a power that he gained when he awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. The time that passed within his Genjutsu was 1/100th of 1/1000th of 1/1,000,000th of a second of that in the real world. Itachi's heart drew out a clear image. Peace in the village. The clan tranquil. His own form was created in Izumi's mind. He was free of all trouble, free of all burdens. Konoha, through Uchiha, none of that mattered. Izumi was beside him, smiling. Izumi became a Chunin as if chasing after him. At that time, Itachi was already a Jonin, one step ahead of her. He handed a pouting Izumi an engagement ring, kneeling before her. Izumi retired as a ninja. Marriage, childbirth, raising their child together, their children leaving the house to live their own lives, Izumi growing old together with Itachi, 70 years since they first met, the hair on their heads white, Izumi's illness, Itachi taking care of the sick Izumi, her last years with him at her bedside, her last moments. The Mangekyo Sharingan consumed an enormous amount of Itachi's chakra. Shoulders rising, Itachi took a deep breath, as if calling from the very depths of the ocean itself. Before him, Izumi's knees suddenly gave out from under her. She collapsed, smiling. "Thank you," Izumi said. Her voice sounded like that of an old woman past the age of 80, on her deathbed, looking at her husband. "Me too. Thank you, Izumi," Itachi said. He squeezed her shoulders more tightly, unable to say anything more. With a broad smile on her face, Izumi took her last peaceful breath as she looked into Itachi's eyes. The mind and body were indivisible. If the mind decayed, then the body too would fall apart. Izumi died, joyful, in Itachi's arms. After laying her motionless body on the floor, Itachi's hands shook as he staggered to his feet. "I decided Izumi would be first. I had to," Itachi thought. By killing her himself, he wiped away the last of his hesitation, the last of his bonds of emotion. "Thank you, Izumi," Itachi whispered before he turned to her mother and he removed his katana. End quote. This scene, in my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, is hands down one of the most emotionally charged moments in the series, in my opinion. One thing I found to be really great writing is how it paralleled the moment when Itachi was at Izumi's bedside after she protected him with her Sharingan, and how that moment really started the process of Izumi crawling into Itachi's heart. In the scene that we just covered, Itachi is no longer the young boy who's jealous that Izumi had the Sharingan, but instead Instead, he's now a teenager who had achieved one of the most powerful dojutsu in the Naruto series. In Izumi's mind, Itachi was at her bedside during her final years when she was sick, just as Itachi was at her bedside when they were back at the academy. In the span of less than a second, Itachi allowed Izumi to see the life that she wanted, but also a life that Itachi wanted with her. Engagement, being a stay-at-home mother, in a life where she was standing beside Itachi, where he worried about nothing except for her and their family. There was no clan politics to worry about. There were no worries about Konoha. There was only the life that he built with Izumi. Having Izumi speak to him with the voice of an 80-year-old woman shows just how powerful of a genjutsu that Itachi used on her. Her mind actually believed that she was an 80-year-old woman who was about to take her last breath, and her mind essentially told her body to shut itself down. Itachi was so overcome with emotion that all he could do was squeeze her shoulders tightly, and if you guys will recall, Itachi thought to himself he couldn't stand to hear Izumi's thoughts and hear Izumi's voice any further, which is why he went into the Mangekyo Sharingan so abruptly. This being animated would have been so much better than what we got in the anime, which gave Izumi's death to Obito and had Izumi's last words being her crying out for Itachi to save her. In the anime, she died a brutal and pathetic death, whereas in the novel, it was absolutely the opposite. Itachi used an enormous amount of his chakra to make sure that Izumi died at peace, filled with love and filled with her love for him, and not the terror of knowing that Itachi, someone that Izumi was deeply in love with, had taken her life without any explanation. In the moments after this, even Obito noticed how shaken Itachi was and questioned if Itachi could go through with the massacre. Obito warned Itachi not to take this too far, not to overexert himself, and warned him that both physically and mentally, which is something that Itachi was about to drain himself for, and he didn't know if Itachi could handle it. This led to Itachi demanding that he be the one who killed all the women and children, in a bit of a passive-aggressive moment between Obito and Itachi, where when you read in between the lines, it really came as if Itachi was close to striking Obito. I don't know about you, but I would have loved to have seen the anguish on Itachi's face as he squeezed Izumi's shoulders right before she passed away in his arms, and when he laid her body on the floor. It would have added so much gravity to the massacre and showed how deeply it weighed on Itachi's heart, as well as showed just how much he sacrificed to ensure that his precious baby brother Sasuke would be allowed to live. So what did you guys think about this scene? Let me know down in the comment section below, but as always guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching all the way into the end. Have an incredible day guys.